This lesson begins a new section or a new part or chapter, however you want to call it, on inheritance, which is a major part of object-oriented programming. With inheritance, we can take the definition of a class and extend it to a whole different class where the new class simply adds more detail or a little variation or some sort of difference to the original class. I'm going to write a couple of things down, so I'm going to put those in comments up here. First thing we start off with is something called a superclass. The superclass is the class that we're going to base our inheritance on. And I'll give you an example of that in just a moment. Then below that, we'll have something called the subclass. The subclass is a class that is based on the definition of a superclass, but as I just mentioned, modifies it in some way. In this way, we can take advantage of code reuse and not have to redefine from scratch every single object that we create. We can simply take an existing object, the superclass object, and extend it in some way so that it's different, but it's based on the same process. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to create a superclass. We're going to call it employee. And what it's going to do is we're going to base, well, let's make sure I get the right indentation here. I'm going to keep this very simple. So we're going to have a name for our employee. Our employee is going to work in a particular department. And this particular employee is going to have a salary. Now we can go through and create all the other pieces to that we need to create, but I'm going to stop right there. So employee now becomes the superclass of this inheritance chain. So let me add another comment there. And while I'm talking about this, I'll go ahead and create at least a constructor. We'll need one. Whoops. So let me take care of that real quick. It won't hurt for you to see all this again also. And we'll use the this keyword to distinguish between our data members and I'm just noticing that salary should not be a string. We're going to keep it simple by making it an integer. And then of course I can create getters and setters for all of that, and then any other methods that I need. I'm going to stop there because that's really all we need to have. But again, the important thing to recognize about a superclass is a superclass is going to define whatever all the other subclass objects have in common. Even though we can change some of the data members of a subclass, as you're going to see in a moment in the next lesson. When I create a subclass from employee, I'm actually going to change or not use one of the data members here, one of the fields, salary. I'm going to leave it out and change it to something else. But we'll talk about that in the next lesson. But the point is that the superclass is the model, if you will, for the other classes that fall underneath it. So with that, we're going to wrap up this lesson on superclasses, and we're going to move on to the next lesson where I'm going to demonstrate how to create a subclass, in this case we're going to call it hourly employee, from this superclass employee.